I never thought my mother would sell the one thing that meant the world to me, but she did. And that's when everything changed. My name is Amelia, and I'm 8 years old. Well, I was 8 when this all happened. Now I'm 9, and I'm living a completely different life than I ever imagined. But let me start from the beginning. From the days when I still believed my mother loved me more than her own reputation. My bedroom was my sanctuary. It wasn't much, just a small room on the second floor of our modest house in suburban Connecticut, but it was mine. The walls were painted a soft lavender that caught the morning sunlight just right, making everything glow like magic. I had a white bookshelf filled with fairy tales, a desk where I did my homework, and a window seat where I could watch the neighborhood kids play outside. But the crown jewel of my room, the thing that made my heart sing every single day, sat on the highest shelf of my bookcase, Minnie the unicorn. Minnie wasn't just any stuffed animal. She was a magnificent unicorn with a coat that shimmered between pink and purple depending on how the light hit it. Her mane was made of the softest silver threads that I loved to run my fingers through when I was sad or scared. Her horns spiraled upward in glittering gold, and her eyes were these deep, kind blue pools that seemed to understand everything I told her. She was about 2 feet tall, the perfect size for hugging, and she smelled faintly of lavender because I'd accidentally spilled my bubble bath near her once. I got Minnie on my 6th birthday, 2 years before all of this happened. It was the last gift my grandmother gave me before she passed away from cancer. Grandma Rose had been my best friend in the whole world. She was the one who braided my hair and told me stories about magical lands where little girls could be anything they wanted. She taught me how to make chocolate chip cookies and how to stand up for myself when the boys at school were mean. When she got sick, I spent every weekend at the hospital with her, reading her my favorite books and showing her my drawings. On my 6th birthday, just 3 weeks before she died, Grandma Rose was too weak to come to my party. I was devastated. Mom had organized this elaborate celebration at our house with a bounce house and a magician, but all I wanted was to see Grandma. After all the guests left and I was sitting in my room feeling empty, Dad brought me a big box wrapped in purple paper with silver stars. He had tears in his eyes when he handed it to me. Inside was Minnie, and tucked into her little vest was a note in Grandma's shaky handwriting. My dearest Amelia, this is Minnie the unicorn. She's magic, just like you. Whenever you feel alone or scared, just hold her tight, and remember that Grandma loves you more than all the stars in the sky. You are brave, you are kind, and you are enough, just as you are. Never let anyone tell you different. Love forever, Grandma Rose. I cried so hard that night, but they were happy tears mixed with sad ones. From that moment on, Minnie became my everything. She was my confidant, my comfort, my connection to the grandmother I'd lost. I told her every secret, every fear, every dream. When kids at school made fun of my hand-me-down clothes, I came home and hugged Minnie. When I got a good grade on a test, Minnie was the first one I told. When I couldn't sleep because of nightmares, Minnie's soft mane dried my tears. Mom knew how much Minnie meant to me. Everyone did. Dad understood it completely. He'd often find me sitting on my window seat with Minnie in my lap, watching the sunset, and he'd just smile softly and leave me to my thoughts. But Mom had a different relationship with Grandma Rose's memory. They'd never gotten along well. Grandma thought Mom was too focused on appearances and social climbing. Mom thought Grandma was old-fashioned and too soft on me. After Grandma died, Mom rarely mentioned her, and whenever I brought up Grandma's stories or advice, Mom would change the subject quickly. I should have seen the warning signs earlier. Mom had always been obsessed with what other people thought of us. Our house had to look perfect at all times, even though we weren't wealthy by any means. Dad worked long hours as an accountant, and Mom had a part-time job at a dental office, but most of her energy went into maintaining the illusion that we were more successful than we actually were. She'd buy expensive decorations for the holidays that we couldn't really afford, host elaborate dinner parties with food that left our budget tight for weeks, and worst of all, she constantly compared me to other children. Madison had better grades. Chloe had nicer clothes. Emma was thinner. Sophia was more athletic. It didn't matter what I did or how hard I tried, I was never quite good enough for Mom to brag about me the way she wanted to. And the thing was, I really did try. I studied hard, I was polite, I helped around the house without being asked. But Mom always found something wrong. My hair was too messy, my smile wasn't bright enough. I was too shy at social gatherings. I didn't make friends with the right kids. The right kids, in Mom's eyes, were the children of her social circle. She'd spent years trying to break into this group of upper-middle-class families in our neighborhood. They belonged to the country club we couldn't afford. Their kids went to private schools and summer camps that cost more than our mortgage. They drove luxury SUVs and took vacations to Europe. And Mom desperately wanted to be part of their world. That's where Chloe came in. Chloe Harrison was the daughter of Jennifer Harrison, the queen bee of Mom's desired social circle. Jennifer was everything Mom wanted to be. Wealthy, beautiful, confident, and socially powerful. Her husband was some kind of executive at a pharmaceutical company, and they lived in a massive house on the hill overlooking our neighborhood. Chloe was 7, a year younger than me, and she was used to getting everything she wanted. Mom had been trying to befriend Jennifer for over a year. She'd volunteered for every school committee Jennifer was on, complimented her endlessly, and practically begged for playdates between Chloe and me. Jennifer mostly ignored her, offering those polite but distant smiles that rich people give to those they consider beneath them. But Mom didn't give up. She just tried harder, becoming more desperate and more pathetic with each passing month. I didn't like Chloe. She was spoiled and mean, the kind of kid who would smile sweetly at adults and then pinch you when they weren't looking. During the few playdates Mom had managed to arrange, Chloe would come over and criticize everything about my room, my toys, my clothes. She'd break my things accidentally and never apologize. She once told me that her mom felt sorry for mine because we were kind of poor. I told Mom about it, but she just said I was being oversensitive and that I needed to try harder to be Chloe's friend. In March, right before everything fell apart, Jennifer Harrison finally threw Mom a bone. She invited us to Chloe's 8th birthday party. Not just us, but dozens of families, but Mom acted like we'd won the lottery. She spent 2 weeks obsessing over what gift to buy Chloe, what outfit I should wear, how I should behave. She bought Chloe an expensive art set that cost more than what she'd spent on my last birthday. She bought herself a new dress that Dad shook his head about when he saw the credit card bill. And she coached me every single day on how to act at the party. The party was at Giggle Palace, this massive indoor entertainment complex with arcade games, laser tag, mini golf, and a restaurant that served overpriced pizza. It was the kind of place that cost hundreds of dollars for a party, maybe even thousands. When we arrived, Mom's eyes lit up like she'd stepped into heaven. All the important families were there. Jennifer was holding court in the center of the room, looking effortlessly elegant in designer jeans and a silk blouse, accepting gifts and compliments with practiced grace. I found a quiet corner near the arcade and tried to make myself invisible. I was wearing a dress Mom had bought me specifically for this occasion, a frilly pink thing that itched and felt too tight around the neck. My shoes were stiff and hurt my feet. I watched the other kids run around screaming and laughing, playing games and stuffing their faces with pizza, and I felt completely out of place. Chloe was in her element, wearing a sparkly princess dress and a tiara, commanding attention from everyone. She opened her mountain of gifts with barely concealed boredom, tossing aside expensive toys and games like they were nothing. When she got to our present, she gave it a dismissive glance and moved on immediately. Mom's face fell for just a second before she plastered on that fake smile again. I watched Mom circling Jennifer like a moth around a flame, laughing too loud at her jokes, agreeing with everything she said, fetching drinks and cake for her. It was embarrassing. Some of the other mothers noticed and exchanged knowing glances. I could feel the secondhand humiliation burning in my chest. Then came the moment that changed everything. I was sitting at a table by myself, picking at a slice of pizza I didn't want, when I heard Mom's voice rise above the noise. She was standing near Jennifer and a few other mothers, and she'd clearly had a glass or two of the champagne they were serving the adults. "Oh, Jennifer," Mom said, her voice carrying that desperate, pleading tone I'd learned to dread. "Chloe must be so excited about all her wonderful gifts. You know, I've noticed she's been admiring Amelia's Minnie the unicorn toy. You should see it, it's absolutely gorgeous, sparkly and magical. Amelia would be more than happy to give it to Chloe as a special birthday present." The world stopped. My pizza fell from my hand onto the plate with a wet plop. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I sat there frozen, staring at Mom in absolute horror. Jennifer looked mildly interested for the first time all evening. "Oh really? Chloe did mention she wanted a unicorn toy. She saw one at the store last week and threw quite the tantrum when I said she had too many stuffed animals already." "Well, problem solved," Mom said, her smile so bright it looked painful. "Amelia has been wanting to give Minnie to Chloe for ages. She's such a generous little girl. It'll be our special extra gift." No. This couldn't be happening. My hands started shaking. I looked at Mom, trying to catch her eye, trying to send her a silent message that this was wrong, that she couldn't do this. But Mom wasn't looking at me. She was looking at Jennifer with this hopeful, pathetic expression, like a puppy begging for scraps. I wanted to scream right there in the middle of the party. I wanted to run over and tell Jennifer that Mom was lying, that Minnie wasn't just any toy, that she was the last piece of Grandma Rose I had left. But my voice was stuck in my throat. I was 8 years old, surrounded by adults and strangers, and I'd been taught my whole life to be polite and quiet and not make scenes. So I sat there, trembling, tears starting to blur my vision. The car ride home was the longest 20 minutes of my life. I sat in the back seat, clutching my seatbelt, my mind racing. Maybe Mom had just been talking. Maybe she didn't really mean it. Maybe she'd forgotten that Minnie was from Grandma. Maybe I could remind her, and she'd understand. "Mom," I said softly when we were halfway home, "you didn't really mean what you said about Minnie, right?" Mom glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Dad was driving, his jaw tight, sensing something was wrong. "What about Minnie, sweetheart?" "About giving her to Chloe," my voice cracked. "You were just joking, right?" Oh, that. Mom waved her hand dismissively. Well, honey, Chloe is your friend. Friends share, don't they? But Minnie is from Grandma Rose, I said, my voice getting higher and more desperate. She's not just any toy. You know that. She's special. She's all I have left of Grandma. Amelia, don't be so dramatic, Mom said, applying lipstick while looking in the visor mirror. It's just a stuffed animal. You have plenty of other toys. No, I shouted, surprising myself. I never shouted. No, she's not just a stuffed animal. You can't give her away. You promised. You promised I'd never have to give her away. I never promised any such thing, Mom snapped, turning around in her seat to glare at me. And you will not use that tone with me, young lady. Chloe is our friend. Mrs. Harrison is important. This is about learning to share and be generous. Sarah, Dad said quietly, his first words since we'd left the party, maybe we should talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, Mom said sharply. Amelia needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around her and her things. She's been coddled enough. I pressed myself against the car door, hugging my stomach, feeling like I was going to throw up. Dad's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror, and I could see the apology there, but he didn't say anything else. He never stood up to Mom when she got like this. He'd learned over the years that it was easier to let her have her way and then try to comfort me afterwards. But this was different. This wasn't about Mom buying something we couldn't afford or making me wear clothes I hated. This was about Minnie. This was about Grandma Rose. When we got home, I ran straight to my room and locked the door. I climbed up on my desk chair and grabbed Minnie from her special place on the top shelf. I held her so tight I probably should have worried about damaging her, but I couldn't let go. I buried my face in her soft mane and sobbed. I won't let her take you, I whispered to Minnie. I promise. I'll hide you. I'll protect you. I looked around my room frantically, trying to think of places Mom wouldn't look. Under my bed? Too obvious. In my closet? She cleaned that out regularly. Behind my books? She might reorganize them. I finally settled on taking one of my old backpacks from the back of my closet, putting Minnie inside, and shoving it into the very back corner behind my winter clothes that wouldn't be touched for months. Then I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling, and tried to come up with a plan. Maybe I could tell Mom I'd lost Minnie. Maybe I could say she was damaged and couldn't be given away. Maybe I could get Dad alone and convince him to help me. Maybe. That night at dinner, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Dad tried to make conversation about work, but Mom was on her phone, texting someone and smiling. I pushed my food around my plate, not eating. Finally, after what felt like hours, Dad cleared the dishes and Mom disappeared into her bedroom to make phone calls. I helped Dad with the dishes in silence. Kiddo, Dad said softly as he handed me a plate to dry. I'm sorry about what happened today. Are you going to let her give away Minnie? I asked, not looking at him. Dad sighed heavily. Amelia, you know how your mother is, when she gets an idea in her head. So you're not going to stop her. It wasn't a question. I knew my father. He was kind and gentle and he loved me, but he was also weak when it came to standing up to Mom. I'll talk to her, he said, but we both knew it wouldn't matter. I went to bed that night barely sleeping, jumping at every sound, terrified that Mom would come in and search my room while I was unconscious. But the night passed without incident. Maybe she'd forgotten. Maybe she'd move on to some other crazy scheme to impress Jennifer Harrison. I should have known better. The next morning was Saturday. I came downstairs for breakfast to find Mom already dressed and made up, sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop and several sheets of paper. She looked up when I entered, and her smile was cold. Good morning, Amelia. We need to have a conversation about your behavior yesterday. I sat down slowly, fear creeping up my spine. What about it? You were very rude to me in the car. You raised your voice and talked back. That's unacceptable. So I've decided that you need to learn a lesson about respect and generosity. Mom, please? I'm not finished. Her voice was ice. You're going to go upstairs right now, get Minnie, and bring her down here. We're going to wrap her up nicely, and then we're going to take her over to Chloe's house this afternoon. You're going to give her to Chloe yourself and apologize for your behavior. No, the word came out before I could stop it. No, I won't. Mom's eyes narrowed. Excuse me? I said no. I was shaking, but I stood my ground. You can't make me give her away. She's mine. Grandma gave her to me. You don't have the right. I have every right. Mom said, standing up. I'm your mother. Everything in this house belongs to me, including your toys. Now go get Minnie, or I'll go get her myself. You can't find her. The words tumbled out in desperate defiance. I hid her. You'll never find her. Something dangerous flashed in Mom's eyes. She walked around the table slowly, and I backed up until I hit the counter. You hid her? Yes, I said, my voice small but determined. And I won't tell you where. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then Mom smiled, and it was the most terrifying smile I'd ever seen. Fine. Have it your way. If you won't give me Minnie willingly, then I'll just have to teach you an even bigger lesson. She turned and walked upstairs. I heard her footsteps going into my room, heard drawers opening and closing, heard things being moved around. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I ran upstairs and stood in my doorway, watching in horror as Mom systematically destroyed my sanctuary. She pulled every toy off my shelves. She emptied my toy box. She went through my closet, throwing things onto the floor. She checked under my bed, behind my furniture, inside every possible hiding place. I stood there watching, tears streaming down my face, but I didn't make a sound. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. After 20 minutes of searching, Mom stood in the center of my destroyed room, breathing hard, her hair messed up, her perfect appearance cracked. "Where is she, Amelia?" "I'll never tell you." "Fine." Mom's voice was calm now, which was somehow worse than when she was angry. "Since you want to be stubborn, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go through every single toy you own, everything you love, and I'm going to sell it all, every last thing. And I'm going to use the money to buy Chloe an even better present. How does that sound?" I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "You wouldn't." "Watch me." Mom started grabbing armfuls of toys. She took my collection of Barbie dolls that I'd had since I was 5. She took my board games. She took my art supplies. She took the stuffed animals that weren't Minnie but that I'd loved anyway. She carried load after load downstairs while I followed her, begging, crying, pleading. "Mom, please. Please don't do this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hit her. Just please don't take my things." But she ignored me completely, making trip after trip, her face set in grim determination. Dad had left earlier for some errand, conveniently absent during this nightmare. By the time Mom was done, she'd emptied almost my entire room. All my toys, all my games, all my treasures. She left my books and my clothes and my furniture, but everything else was gone. She piled it all in the garage, and then she made a phone call. "Hi, yes, I'd like to schedule a yard sale for today?" "Yes, today. I have a lot of items to sell. Toys, mostly. Children's toys, gently used, very good condition, great prices." I couldn't believe this was happening. This had to be a nightmare. Any second I'd wake up in my bed with Minnie on her shelf and everything would be normal. But I didn't wake up. This was real. This was actually happening. Mom spent the next hour setting up a folding table in our front yard and arranging all my things on it. She made a sign on poster board in big letters, "Yard sale, cheap toys, everything must go." She taped it to a stake and stuck it in the ground by the sidewalk. Then she went inside to change into something more presentable for greeting customers, leaving me standing in the front yard staring at my life spread out on a table for strangers to paw through. Mrs. Jenkins from 2 doors down was the first to arrive. She was a busybody who always had something to say about everyone on the street. She looked at the table full of toys, then at me standing there with tears still wet on my face, and I could see the calculation in her eyes. She knew something was very wrong, but she wasn't going to ask. She was just going to watch the show and then gossip about it later. "My goodness, Sarah," Mrs. Jenkins said when Mom came back outside. "What's all this?" "Oh, just teaching Amelia about the value of things," Mom said with that fake cheerful voice. "She has far too many toys. Time to learn about sharing and letting go." Mrs. Jenkins picked up one of my favorite dolls, a baby doll that had been mine since I was 3. "How much for this one?" $2, Mom said. $2. I'd loved that doll for 5 years. I'd named her Rosie after Grandma. I'd fed her pretend bottles and tucked her into bed every night when I was younger, and Mom was selling her for $2. "I'll take it, Mrs. Jenkins said, and just like that, Rosie was gone. More neighbors started to show up. Word had apparently spread quickly through the neighborhood. I recognized most of them, had seen them at block parties and school events. They looked at me with expressions ranging from pity to judgment to sick curiosity. None of them asked me if I was okay. None of them questioned what was happening. They just picked through my belongings like vultures, haggling with Mom over prices. "How much for the art set?" $3. "I'll give you 2. Sold. My art set that had cost $20 new, that I'd used to create dozens of pictures that Dad had hung on the fridge with pride, sold for $2 to a woman I didn't even know. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab everything off the table and run away, but I couldn't move. I just stood there, frozen in horror, watching my childhood being dismantled piece by piece. Then I saw my friend Emma and her mom walking down the sidewalk. Emma was in my class at school. We sat together at lunch sometimes and played together at recess. When she saw me standing in my front yard with tears on my face and all my toys being sold, her face fell. "Amelia?" Emma came running up to me. "What's happening? Why is your mom selling your stuff?" I couldn't answer. My throat was closed up with grief and shame. "Emma's mom, Mrs. Patterson," approached Mom with a concerned expression. "Sarah, is everything all right? This seems like an unusual way to have a yard sale." "Everything's fine," Mom said briskly. "Just teaching my daughter some life lessons." "By selling all her toys?" Mrs. Patterson's voice had an edge to it. Sarah, this doesn't seem right. With all due respect, Carol, how I raise my daughter is my business, Mom said, her smile not reaching her eyes. Now, if you're not buying anything, I have other customers to attend to. Mrs. Patterson looked at me for a long moment, and I could see her trying to figure out if she should intervene. But what could she do? Mom was my mother. This was our property. Technically, Mom wasn't doing anything illegal. She was just being cruel. Amelia, Mrs. Patterson said gently, "Are you okay, honey?" I shook my head no. I couldn't speak, but I shook my head no. Sarah, I really think... Carol, please, Mom interrupted. You're making a scene. Everything is under control. Mrs. Patterson looked torn, but after another moment, she put her hand on Emma's shoulder and led her away. Emma kept looking back at me, her face confused and sad. I watched them walk down the street, and I felt more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. The yard sale continued for hours. By the end of the day, almost everything was gone. Mom had made maybe $50 total, $50 for years of my childhood, $50 for memories and comfort and joy. She'd sold it all for practically nothing, and I knew that wasn't even the point. The point was to punish me. The point was to show me that she had all the power and I had none. When the last customer left and the table was nearly empty, Mom started packing up what little remained. I was still standing there, numb and exhausted, when a car pulled up to our curb. My heart sank even further. It was Jennifer Harrison's massive white SUV. Jennifer got out, looking like she'd just stepped out of a magazine, and Chloe bounced out behind her, wearing designer clothes and a smug expression. Mom's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Jennifer, Chloe, what a wonderful surprise." "Sarah," Jennifer said, looking around at the yard sale setup with barely concealed distaste, "I heard from the neighborhood chat that you were having a sale. I thought I'd stop by to see if you happened to have that unicorn toy you mentioned yesterday." Mom's smile faltered. "Oh, well, actually, Minnie wasn't part of the yard sale. She's still inside. Amelia's been a bit resistant about giving her up, but I'm working on it." "I want the unicorn," Chloe whined. "Mommy, you promised I could have the unicorn." "I know, sweetie," Jennifer said, patting Chloe's head. "Sarah, I thought you said your daughter was excited to give Minnie to Chloe?" I found my voice then, scratchy and raw from crying. "I never said that. My mom said that. Minnie was from my grandma who died. I don't want to give her away." Jennifer's perfectly plucked eyebrows rose slightly. She looked at Mom with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Sarah, perhaps we should." "Amelia, go to your room right now," Mom snapped at me. "Jennifer, I'm so sorry. She's been having a difficult day. Let me go get Minnie right now." "No!" I shouted. "You can't! You don't even know where she is." "Then tell me where she is," Mom said through gritted teeth, "or I'll sell everything else you own. I'll sell your books, I'll sell your clothes, I'll sell your bed. I'll leave you with nothing." Something inside me broke in that moment. I looked at Mom, really looked at her, and I saw a stranger. I saw someone who cared more about impressing Jennifer Harrison than about her own daughter's feelings. I saw someone who would destroy my happiness to climb one rung higher on the social ladder. I saw someone who didn't love me, at least not the way a mother should love her child. "Fine," I said flatly. "Sell everything. I don't care anymore." Mom's face went red. She grabbed my arm hard enough to leave marks and started dragging me toward the house. Jennifer called out, "Sarah, maybe this isn't a good time," but Mom ignored her. She pulled me upstairs to my room and started tearing through the hiding places she hadn't checked yet. She found my backpack in the back of the closet within minutes. I'd run out of good hiding spots after all. She unzipped it and pulled out Minnie, holding her up triumphantly like a trophy. "Finally," Mom said. She looked at Minnie for a moment, then at me. "You know what? I don't think I'm going to give this to Chloe after all." Hope flickered in my chest. Maybe she was coming to her senses. Maybe she realized how wrong this was. "I'm going to sell her instead." Mom continued, "I'm going to sell her to the first person who offers me money for her. Maybe that will teach you that your stubbornness has consequences." The hope died. "You're a monster," I whispered. Mom slapped me. Not hard enough to truly hurt, but the shock of it made me stumble backward. She'd never hit me before. "Ever. Don't you dare speak to me that way. I am your mother. I brought you into this world." "I wish you hadn't," I said, and I meant it. In that moment, I completely meant it. Mom's face went white, then purple. She looked like she wanted to hit me again, but instead, she turned and stormed out of my room, taking Minnie with her. I heard her going back downstairs, heard her apologizing to Jennifer in that saccharine voice, heard Chloe's whiny demands getting louder. I should have gone downstairs. I should have tried to stop her one more time. But I couldn't move. I sank down onto my floor in the middle of all the chaos and mess, and I felt nothing. I was empty, hollow, defeated. After a few minutes, I heard Jennifer's SUV drive away without Chloe getting Minnie. Apparently, even Jennifer had been uncomfortable with the situation. Then I heard Mom on her phone, talking to someone. I crept to the top of the stairs to listen. Yes, I have a Minnie the Unicorn in perfect condition. It's a collector's edition. I'm selling it for $200. No, that's my final price. Yes, it's absolutely authentic. Perfect condition, barely used. You want it? Great. I'm at 847 Oak Street. You can come by in an hour? Perfect. $200. She was selling Minnie, my precious Minnie, the last piece of Grandma Rose I had, for $200 to some stranger. Not even to Chloe for social points. Just for money. Just to hurt me. Something crystallized inside me in that moment. A cold, hard certainty. I was done. I was done trying to earn Mom's love. I was done trying to be good enough. I was done sacrificing myself for her approval. I was done. I went back to my room and I called the one person I knew would help me. Aunt Lily. She was Dad's younger sister, and she and Mom had never gotten along. Mom thought Lily was too independent, too outspoken, too masculine with her short hair and her job as a contractor. Lily thought Mom was a social climbing phony who didn't deserve Dad. They'd had an enormous fight at Christmas 2 years ago, and Mom had banned Lily from our house. But Lily had given me her phone number and made me promise to call her if I ever needed anything. My hands were shaking as I dialed her number on the phone in my room. She answered on the second ring. Hello? Aunt Lily? My voice broke. It's Amelia. Amelia? Sweetie, what's wrong? You sound terrible. And then it all came pouring out. Everything. The party, Mom's promise to Jennifer, the fight, the yard sale, Mom searching my room, hitting me, threatening to sell everything, and now selling Minnie to a stranger. I talked so fast I was tripping over my words, but Lily listened to every word without interrupting. When I finished, there was a moment of heavy silence. Then Lily said in a voice colder than I'd ever heard from her, Stay in your room and lock the door. Don't let your mother in for any reason. I'm calling your father right now, and then I'm coming over. Do you understand me? Yes, I whispered. You did the right thing calling me sweetheart. Your mom crossed a line, a big line. This ends today. Lily hung up. I locked my door and sat on my bed, hugging my knees to my chest, waiting. I heard Mom's phone ring downstairs. I heard her answer it, heard her voice change from cheerful to defensive to angry. I heard her shouting, How dare you tell me how to raise my daughter? This is none of your business, David. Come home right now. Right now. Dad came home 20 minutes later. I heard him and Mom fighting, really fighting, in a way I'd never heard before. Dad's voice was shaking with anger, something I'd never heard from my gentle, passive father. She called me crying, Sarah, crying so hard she could barely breathe. She told me you hit her. You hit our daughter. I barely touched her. She was being disrespectful. You sold all her toys. You're planning to sell the stuffed animal from your dead mother-in-law. What the hell is wrong with you? Don't you dare take that tone with me. I'm teaching her a lesson about what? About cruelty? About valuing social status over your own child? About being just like your mother? That must have really struck a nerve, because Mom screamed, actually screamed, something incomprehensible. I heard something crash, like maybe she'd thrown something. I pressed myself against my locked door, terrified. Then I heard another car pull up, and moments later, Aunt Lily's voice joined the chaos. Where is she? Where's Amelia? Lily, you need to leave right now, Mom said. This is a family matter. I am family, you delusional witch. Amelia is my niece. Now where is she? Upstairs, Dad said. In her room. Doors locked. I heard footsteps pounding up the stairs, and then a gentle knock on my door. Amelia? Sweetie, it's Aunt Lily. Can you let me in? I unlocked the door and threw it open. Lily was there, her face flushed from anger, her short dark hair windblown from driving fast. She took one look at me, at my tear-stained face and the red mark still visible on my cheek, and her expression went murderous. But when she spoke to me, her voice was gentle. Come here, baby girl. I threw myself into her arms and she held me tight, rocking me back and forth like I was a little kid. It's okay. You're okay. I've got you now. She sold everything. I sobbed into her shoulder. Everything. And she's selling Minnie. Some stranger is coming to buy her in an hour. Over my dead body, Lily said fiercely. She pulled back and looked at my face carefully, running her thumb gently over the mark on my cheek. Her jaw clenched. Did she hit you anywhere else? No, just once. But she grabbed my arm hard. I showed her the finger-shaped bruises already forming on my upper arm. Lily took out her phone and took pictures. I need you to stay up here for a few more minutes, okay? I need to have a conversation with your parents. Can you do that? I nodded. Lily kissed my forehead and then went back downstairs. I heard her voice, loud and clear and absolutely fearless. Sarah, I'm going to say this once and only once. You have 2 choices. Choice 1, you apologize to Amelia, return Minnie to her, replace every single toy you sold, and start going to therapy to figure out why you're such a terrible mother. Choice 2, I call the police right now and report you for child abuse. Child abuse? Mom's voice was shrill. I didn't abuse anyone, I disciplined my child. You hit her, you emotionally manipulated her, you destroyed her property, you sold her belongings without her consent for what I'm guessing was well below their value just to hurt her. And you did all of this because she wouldn't let you give away a gift from her dead grandmother to impress some snobby rich woman. That's abuse, Sarah. That's textbook emotional and physical abuse. David, are you going to let her talk to me like this? There was a long pause. Then Dad said quietly, She's right, Sarah. What you did today was wrong, really wrong. I should have stopped you earlier, and I didn't, and I'm sorry for that, but it ends now. You're taking their side? Mom sounded genuinely shocked. Your sister who you haven't spoken to in 2 years, and your daughter who's been nothing but difficult today, over your wife? My daughter, who I love more than anything in the world, yes, Dad said, and my heart swelled. And my sister who's right about everything she just said. I've been enabling you for too long, Sarah. I've let you get away with too much because I wanted to keep the peace. But I'm done. This stops now. The doorbell rang. We all froze. The stranger coming to buy Minnie. Don't you dare answer that door, Lily said, but Mom made a run for it. I heard her footsteps rushing to the front door, heard her opening it. Hi, yes, you're here for the Minnie the unicorn? Let me just go grab her. Sarah, no! Dad shouted. I couldn't stay upstairs anymore. I ran down, taking the stairs 2 at a time. In the foyer was a middle-aged woman with a pleasant face, looking confused as my entire family argued around her. Mom was holding Minnie, trying to hand her to the woman while Dad and Lily were trying to stop her. Please. I begged the woman, please don't buy her. She's from my grandma who died. My mom is trying to sell her to punish me. Please. The woman's face went from confused to horrified. She looked at Minnie, then at me, then at Mom. Is this true? Of course not, Mom said desperately. My daughter is just having a tantrum. She agreed to sell it. I never agreed. I'm 8 years old. She can't just sell my stuff without asking. The woman backed toward the door. I'm sorry, I don't want to be involved in this. This seems like a family situation. I'm going to go. Wait, I'll give it to you for 100. Mom called after her, but the woman was already getting in her car and driving away. Mom turned on me, still clutching Minnie, her face twisted with rage. You little brat, do you have any idea what you've cost me? That was $200. Give me the toy, Sarah, Lily said, walking toward her slowly like she was approaching a wild animal. Give me the toy and step away from Amelia. This is my house, these are my rules, this is my daughter and my property and… Lily just walked up and yanked Minnie out of Mom's hands. Mom tried to grab her back, but Dad stepped between them. Lily brought Minnie over to me and placed her gently in my arms. There you go, sweetheart. She's safe now. I held Minnie so tight I probably should have worried about damaging her, but I couldn't let go. I buried my face in her soft mane and breathed in her familiar lavender scent, and I felt like I could finally breathe again. This isn't over, Mom said, her voice shaking. You can't just come into my house and… Actually, I can, Lily said, because if you try to take that toy from Amelia again, or punish her in any way for what happened today, I'm calling Child Protective Services. And I'm calling a lawyer, and I'm making sure everyone in your precious social circle knows exactly what kind of person you are. You wouldn't dare. Try me. Lily's voice was steel. I have pictures of the bruises on Amelia's arm and face. I have Dad as a witness to what happened today. I'm guessing at least one of your neighbors would be willing to testify about the yard sale. I have enough to make a case, Sarah. Don't think I won't use it. Mom looked at Dad. David, you're going to let her threaten me like this? Dad was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I think you should go stay with your mother for a few days, Sarah. We all need some time to cool down and think about what happened here. You're kicking me out of my own house? I'm suggesting some space, for everyone's sake. Mom's face went through about 17 different emotions in the span of 5 seconds. Then she grabbed her purse from the hall table, her keys, and her phone. Fine, fine. You all want me gone? I'll go, but don't come crying to me when you realize what a mistake you've made. She slammed the door so hard on her way out that a picture fell off the wall and shattered. The 3 of us stood there in the sudden silence, not quite believing what had just happened. Is she really gone? I whispered. For now, Dad said. He looked exhausted, like he'd aged 10 years in one day. I'm so sorry, Amelia. I should have protected you. I should have stood up to her a long time ago. I ran to him and he picked me up, even though I was really getting too big for that, and he held me while I cried. Lily rubbed my back, and for the first time all day, I felt safe. Over the next few days, everything changed. Mom stayed at Grandma Carol's house across town and refused to speak to any of us except through angry texts. Dad called a family therapist and made appointments for all of us, including separate sessions for Mom. Lily practically moved in, sleeping in our guest room and making sure I was never alone. But the story didn't end there. Oh no. Because 3 days after the incident, Mom made a terrible miscalculation. She went to Jennifer Harrison's house for their weekly book club meeting, expecting sympathy and support. Instead, she found out that Mrs. Patterson, Emma's mom, had told everyone in the group exactly what had happened at the yard sale. Dad got a phone call from a mutual acquaintance later that evening, gleefully reporting that Mom had been asked to leave the book club. Jennifer had apparently been horrified when she heard the full story. "I had no idea Sarah was being so cruel to that poor child," Jennifer had reportedly said. "I would never have accepted such a gift if I'd known. That's absolutely appalling behavior." The story spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. Within a week, everyone knew. Mom became a social pariah. The PTA stopped inviting her to meetings. The women she'd been trying so hard to impress crossed the street when they saw her coming. Even Grandma Carol, Mom's own mother, was apparently mortified and told Mom she needed to fix this mess you've made. But Mom, stubborn and proud to the end, refused to apologize. She doubled down, insisting she'd done nothing wrong, that everyone was overreacting, that she was the real victim here. She started posting vague things on Facebook about ungrateful children and betrayal from family. It only made things worse. Meanwhile, I started therapy with a really nice woman named Dr. Martinez. She helped me understand that what Mom had done wasn't normal or okay, that I had a right to my feelings, that I wasn't the one who needed to apologize or fix anything. She taught me about boundaries and self-worth. She helped me see that Minnie wasn't just a toy. She was a symbol of my grandmother's love, and that it was completely reasonable for me to want to protect that. Dad started standing up for himself more. He told Mom she needed to go to therapy if she wanted to work on the marriage. Mom refused at first, then reluctantly agreed when Dad said he was considering separation otherwise. Her first few therapy sessions were apparently disasters, with Mom spending the entire time complaining about how everyone was ganging up on her. But slowly, very slowly, the therapist started getting through to her. About 2 months after everything happened, Mom finally agreed to have a mediated conversation with me and Dad, supervised by Dr. Martinez. We sat in her office, Mom on one side, me and Dad on the other, Dr. Martinez in the middle. Mom looked smaller somehow. Her perfect appearance had slipped. Her roots were showing. Her nails weren't manicured. Her clothes weren't as carefully chosen. She wouldn't make eye contact with me. "Sarah, Dr. Martinez said gently, "would you like to start?" Mom was quiet for a long time. Then she said, in a voice barely above a whisper, "I know what I did was wrong." It was the first time she'd admitted it. I felt Dad tense beside me. I was so focused on trying to fit in, on trying to be someone I'm not, that I lost sight of what actually mattered. I hurt my daughter. I hurt my family. Her voice cracked. I became my mother, the thing I swore I'd never do. That explained a lot, actually. Grandma Carol was even worse than Mom about social status and appearances. She'd apparently been pretty terrible to Mom growing up, always criticizing her, always pushing her to be perfect. Not that it excused Mom's behavior, but it helped me understand it. "Amelia," Mom said, finally looking at me, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know that's not enough. I know I can't take back what I did. But I want you to know that I'm trying to get help. I'm trying to be better." I looked at her for a long moment. Part of me wanted to forgive her immediately, to make everything go back to normal. But Dr. Martinez had taught me that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean accepting future bad behavior. "Thank you for apologizing," I said carefully. "But I need time. You really hurt me, Mom. You sold my things. You hit me. You tried to take away Minnie. I can't just forget that happened." Mom's face crumpled. I know you can't. I don't deserve your forgiveness." "Maybe not right now," Dr. Martinez interjected. "But forgiveness is a process, and both of you are at the beginning of that process. Sarah, you're taking important steps by being in therapy and acknowledging what you did. Amelia, you're being very mature by expressing your feelings honestly. This is a good start." We had several more of these sessions over the following months. Mom didn't move back home right away. She and Dad were working on their marriage separately, and Dad made it clear that Amelia's well-being came first. Mom started making actual changes. She quit trying to be part of the country club set. She got a full-time job instead of part-time. She stopped obsessing over social media and what other people thought. She actually started going to church, not for appearances, but because she said she needed to work on being a better person. The yard sale incident had consequences beyond our family too. Mrs. Patterson, Emma's mom, reported what happened to the school. I didn't know this until later, but the school counselor called me in for a check-in meeting. She was really kind and just wanted to make sure I was okay. When word got around about why I was called in, some of the other kids were really supportive. Emma became my best friend. Her mom invited me over for dinner once a week, giving Dad a break and giving me a safe space to just be a kid. Chloe Harrison, surprisingly, apologized to me. Apparently Jennifer had sat her down and explained that you can't just take other people's things, even if you want them really badly. Chloe wasn't exactly my friend after that, but she stopped being mean. She even invited me to her 9th birthday party the next year, and Mom didn't force me to go. As for Minnie, she went back to her place of honor on my shelf, but I didn't need her quite as desperately anymore. Don't get me wrong, I still loved her. She was still special. But Dr. Martinez helped me understand that Grandma Rose's love wasn't just in the unicorn. It was in my memories, in the lessons she'd taught me, in the strength I'd shown when standing up for myself. Minnie was a symbol, but the real magic was inside me all along. About 6 months after everything happened, Mom asked if she could take me out for ice cream, just the two of us. Dad checked with me first, making sure I was comfortable with it. I said yes. I was nervous, but I was also curious. We sat in a booth at our local ice cream shop, both of us with chocolate sundaes, both of us not really knowing what to say. Finally, Mom spoke. I've been thinking a lot about what Grandma Rose would say about all this, Mom said. She never liked me much. I always thought it was because she was judgmental and old-fashioned, but I think maybe she saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. She saw that I was more concerned with appearances than with real love. I stirred my ice cream, not sure how to respond. The note she left you with Minnie, Mom continued. I read it again recently. Your dad kept it in his desk. She told you that you were enough just as you are, that you didn't need to prove yourself to anyone. I wish someone had told me that when I was young. I wish I'd learned it before I tried to teach you the opposite. You can still learn it now, I said quietly. Dr. Martinez says it's never too late to change. Mom smiled, a real smile, not one of her fake social smiles. You're a smart kid, smarter than your mom, that's for sure. We ate our ice cream in more comfortable silence after that. It wasn't perfect. Things between Mom and me would probably never be completely normal. But it was a start. A year later, Dad asked me how I'd feel if Mom moved back home. They'd been working on their marriage, going to couples therapy, actually communicating for once. Mom had maintained all her changes. She had a good job now, had stopped trying to be someone she wasn't, had been consistently going to therapy and working on herself. Only if there are rules, I said. Only if she promises to never do anything like that again. Only if she understands that if she ever hits me or sells my stuff or tries to control me like that, I'm calling Aunt Lily immediately. That's more than fair, Dad said. And I promise you, if she ever does anything like that again, I won't hesitate. You come first, Amelia, always. Mom moved back home in September, almost a year and a half after the incident. It was weird at first, all of us living together again. But Mom kept her promises. She respected my boundaries. She didn't try to force affection or forgiveness. She just showed up every day and tried to be better. For my 10th birthday, Mom did something that surprised me. She'd tracked down Mrs. Jenkins, who had bought my baby doll Rosie at the yard sale. Mom bought Rosie back, paid way more than $2 for her, and gave her back to me wrapped in beautiful paper with a card that said, I can't undo what I did, but I can try to make some of it right. Love, Mom. I cried when I opened it. So did Mom. We hugged, and it felt real for the first time in a long time. I'm 12 now, writing this all down because Dr. Martinez thought it might be therapeutic to tell my story. Mom and I have an okay relationship. Not perfect, probably never will be perfect, but okay. We have rules and boundaries. She's still in therapy. So am I. Dad's doing better too, more confident and more willing to stand up for what's right. Aunt Lily is still my hero. She comes over for dinner every week, and she and Mom have reached a truce of sorts. They'll never be best friends, but they're civil, and Lily knows I'm safe now. The thing I learned from all of this is that love shouldn't hurt. Real love, the kind Grandma Rose had for me, doesn't come with conditions. It doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't punish you for having boundaries. Real love respects you, protects you, and supports you in being yourself. Mom's love before was conditional. It was based on me being what she needed me to be so she could feel good about herself. That wasn't real love. That was control. And I don't have to accept that kind of love from anyone, not even from my mother. I still have Minnie. She still sits on my shelf, her sparkly coat catching the light, her blue eyes still kind and understanding. But I don't need her the same way anymore. I've learned that I can be strong on my own. I've learned that I deserve to be treated with respect and kindness. I've learned that saying no, setting boundaries, and standing up for myself isn't selfish or wrong. It's necessary. Sometimes I talk to Minnie like I used to, telling her about my day or my worries. And sometimes I imagine Grandma Rose's voice coming back to me through her, reminding me, you are brave, you are kind, and you are enough, just as you are. And you know what? I finally believe it. The neighborhood never forgot what happened. Mom's reputation never fully recovered. But eventually she stopped caring. She made new friends, real friends who liked her for who she actually was, not for who she pretended to be. Jennifer Harrison moved to a different state, and honestly, good riddance. The people who mattered stuck around. Emma is still my best friend. Her mom still invites me over for dinner sometimes, and she's been like a second mother to me in a lot of ways. She taught me that not all adults are like Mom was. Some actually listen. Some actually care more about kids than about appearances. Last week, we had a family meeting about high school. I'll be starting 9th grade next year, and Mom wanted to talk about which school I should attend. The old mom would have pushed for the fancy private school where all the right families sent their kids. The new mom asked me what I wanted. I want to go to the public high school with Emma, I said. I want to be somewhere I can be myself. Mom smiled. That sounds perfect. It's not a fairy tale ending. Mom still sometimes slips into her old ways, caring a little too much about what the neighbors think or worrying too much about appearances. But now when she does, Dad or I or even she herself catches it. She apologizes. She corrects course. She tries again. And me? I'm not that little 8-year-old girl anymore, the one who was so desperate for her mother's approval that she would have given up anything to get it. I'm stronger now. I know my worth. I know that I don't have to shrink myself to make other people comfortable. I know that my feelings matter and my boundaries are valid. Minnie the unicorn taught me that. Or rather, the fight for Minnie taught me that. Sometimes the things we fight hardest to protect are really just reflections of what we're fighting for in ourselves. I wasn't just fighting for a stuffed animal. I was fighting for my right to be loved unconditionally. I was fighting for my memories of Grandma Rose. I was fighting for my own value as a person, separate from what I could do for someone else. And I won that fight. Not because Mom backed down gracefully or because everything magically became perfect. I won because I refused to give up on myself. I won because I had people like Dad and Aunt Lily and Dr. Martinez and Mrs. Patterson who supported me. I won because I learned that my voice matters, even when I'm young, even when I'm scared, even when the person trying to silence me is my own mother. If there's one thing I want other kids to know from my story, it's this. You don't have to accept bad treatment from anyone, not even from family. You don't have to give up the things that matter to you just to make someone else happy. You don't have to shrink yourself down to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. You are enough. Just as you are. The people who truly love you will see that. And the people who don't? They're the ones who need to change, not you. I keep Grandma Rose's note in a frame on my desk now, next to a photo of the two of us from when I was 5. Sometimes I read it when I'm having a hard day. You are brave, you are kind, and you are enough, just as you are. Never let anyone tell you different. I never will, Grandma, I promise. I never will.